How can you tell if your Pinay is a scammer? Well, if your Pinay has an Adam's apple, she might be a scammer. If your Pinay has black hair, she might be a scammer. If your Pinay is from the Philippines, she might be a scammer. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about top 5 red flags that your Filipino or Filipina is a scammer. First, let's start with number 5, okay? Beta behavior. What they're going to do is they're going to start sending you their, like, hey, I'm real. Here's a picture of my driver's license. Here's a picture of my passport photo. Here's a picture of my visa, okay? And they will have their picture on their visa. They will have their picture on their license, and they'll have their picture on their passport, and they'll have their name and address and everything. Well, that in itself is a red flag, because if all this information is true, I mean, if you were to meet somebody online, would your first reaction be to send your personal information, where you live, your picture, your actual personal identification cards? No, right? Exactly. That's your first red flag, that he or she may be a scammer, because the first thing they're going to do is send pictures of these documents that we highly guard, and yet they're going to send it to you right away. Okay? Now, it's different if you've been in a, like, say, a year relationship and you're trying to file a fiance visa for them. That's a different story. But usually, scammers usually do it in the first week, and some of them in the first day of you meeting them online. And again, would you send your personal identification cards, digital copies of them, online to somebody you barely know? No, you won't. And that's another thing. Usually, right after they send you picture proof of, their IDs, their passports, for some strange reason, they like to send their email address with their PayPal. They might be a scammer. Number 4, fake online profile. And you're like, well, George, how am I going to know if it's a fake online profile? Well, the easiest way, regardless of whatever, may it be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the easiest way to know is basically scroll down as far as you can, or YouTube, and check the oldest post you can find, okay? But it's a big red flag if it's less than a year old, okay? Big red flag if it's less than a year old, sometimes even 2. Also, another red flag would be limited amount of pictures or posts. And the reason being why they don't have a lot of pictures is because if they're fake, aka if they're catfishing, there's a good chance that these are stolen from somebody else. And what they're doing is they're saving the good pics for you if and whenever you decide to take the bait. Meaning, for instance, if I got it from a girl named Jessie and her online profile I could only get 25 pictures and videos, I'll see those in, say, 1 picture a week. I would send you one of those, so that would give me at least probably 20 weeks for me to work my magic on you, you know what I'm saying? And then the 5 pictures would be the ones on the dummy profile when you first start. That's how they usually operate. They save the pictures and videos, usually the sexier ones, for you to basically stay on the hook for you to nibble on. Check for a fresh profile with not a lot of pics. Okay, that's your red flag. He or he might be a scammer. Okay. Number 3. Now, if you ever watched one of my older videos, top 5 scams, okay, this is one of the red flags, and I cannot reiterate this to you a lot because this is the most popular scam there is. Okay, if their mom dies during the first week you met them, they might be a scammer. Okay, I mean, I know to some of you this is like mind-blowingly, why? How can this possible? How is this possible? Trust me, their mom is sick, their mom is dead, or father, or brother, or anything like that. Usually some tragedy befalls this person that you met online during the first week, and sometimes even the first day, or a week before you met them, that some tragedy happened to the family. And again, I know it's unfathomable to Westerners, but this is a very common scam. And they do this a lot, okay? So, if tragedy happens, basically that's broadcasted the first week that you met them, they might be a scammer, okay? Number 2, if they ask you to buy land, okay? Now, the exceptions to this rule is you've actually physically married. Okay, not an online marriage. There's a difference to that, because if you're physically married, that means you've actually met the person and possibly have probably a working relationship of a sort. Okay, it differs for everybody. Now, if basically you haven't even met him or her, you haven't even landed here, and they ask you to buy land, they might be a scammer. Okay. It's basically the land scam, because remember, you can't have anything under your name, okay? And it doesn't matter if they said, okay, I'll hire a lawyer for you, and you 59% of the land, and I can own 51% land or business. It doesn't mean squat. They could have that lawyer in their pocket. That lawyer could be in cahoots with them. So unless it's your lawyer, that's like, an international lawyer and familiar with everything, and it's a lawyer that you personally know, don't hire somebody else's lawyer, okay? Common land scams, common business scams, they'll ask you to buy into a business or land. And unless, again, you actually have, let's say, again, actually married to this person, actually have a physical relationship with this person on a regular basis, and you actually live together, do not buy land, okay, at all. Because if they ask you to buy land, they might be a scammer. Okay, number 1 red flag that you're Filipino or Filipino is a scammer. No live video calls or video chats. No FaceTime, no Skype, no Zoom. Okay? That's your number 1 red flag. Okay? Now, why? Like, well, George, she sends me videos and she says my name. Well, first off, again, most of these, there's different levels of scamming as far as pre-recorded videos. The first level would be your most basic one. They would send you pre-recorded videos of somebody else. Not just another girl or guy, that they'll send you a video of, a pre-recorded video that they ripped off somebody else. You know what I mean? It could be a TikTok, it could be an Instagram. Usually Instagram is where they steal these stuff from. And then they send it to you, and they said, oh, here's me in my lingerie. Here you go. Take the bait. So, again, that's the first level. Now, the second level of pre-recorded video scams, or, again, like they're pretending that they're somebody else. Like, well, George, again, she sends me pre-recorded videos with my name on it, aka the cue card videos. Now, there's cue card videos, You guys, what is that? Now, some of you may be familiar, may have seen these, some of you may not. They would say stuff like, I love you, John. If you, John, is your name, I'm just using that name because it's very common. All right, or I love you, Mark, or I love you, Christy, I love you, Hannah, you know what I mean? And they would be like, say, they would have that placard and do a little dance in their bikini or whatever, and they have your name on. Okay, they have the ability to change the name on the cue card because it's basically essentially technically a digital blank slate, like a very good potential if it's a digital blank slate, you know, if you know what I mean. They can just put in your name there. And again, the reason why these exist is, for instance, this happens a lot with Patreon accounts or OnlyFans account, where they would have that person's name that's paying them, and they would digitally just change it and send it to, basically the name changes according to per client. So that's why these videos exist, and that's where these videos got ripped off from, and then they're just, you know, recycled, just change the name on the cue card. All right, and then the next level of video scamming, as far as like pretending that it's them, okay, it would be basically third party. For instance, like say, of course, if you're a male, okay, and you're into girls, and I'm basically the scammer, I would ask my girlfriend to say, hey, Clarice, why don't you stand in front of this camera and say his name, here's your script, and do this stuff, you know, suck on your finger or whatever, and then mention his name, if you know what I mean. So, or same thing, vice versa. It could be a she, and she would ask her boyfriend to pretend to be your boyfriend, third party, and they would say your name, because guess what? You know, you think that it's them, but it's actually not. It's a third party. Okay? And then you'll say stuff like, well, what if it's actually them? Well, they could too. They could do that. Even if they actually FaceTime you and Skype you and Zoom you, it's still not a guarantee they're not a scammer. But bottom line, if they don't have enough guts to show their real face to you live, they might be a scammer. The probability is, so I would say probably 99% if they don't show their face. 99% chance they're a scammer. I mean, if they're going to tell you, oh, I don't have internet, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? If they don't, odds are they won't be communicating with you at all. Okay? I mean, in the Philippines, if they don't have a signal, they don't have a signal. If you know what I mean. And if they're real, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to get a hold of you. I mean, they'll probably go to the mall and go to a coffee shop or something and get some Wi-Fi and video with you. If they're real, if they're really interested in you, they'll find a way to get a hold of you and video chat with you. Trust me. If they're really into you, they'll find a way to video chat with you and not avoid it. Okay? Number 5, beta behavior. They're too quick to send you their personal information all of a sudden within the week. Beta behavior. They just want to qualify. Like, hey, look at me, I'm real. Here's my ID, here's my passport. They might be a scammer. Number 4, fake online profile. Too early of an account. Too few pictures. They might be a scammer. Number 3, a tragedy happens during, right before, or a few days after you meet them. They might be a scammer. Number 2, they ask you to buy land. They might be a scammer. Okay? Because remember, you can't buy land under your name. And number 1, No video calls, no FaceTime, no Zoom, no Skype. They might be a scammer. Alright guys, I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to give us your ideas, type it in the comments. We try to accommodate you. Sometimes we do deviate from the normal. Let's say I did have a motorcycle vlog as far as pricing goes. That was requested. For instance, I had a motor vlog where I was in the tricycle and driving to and back. That was another request. Again, we try to accommodate everybody, and I know some of you want different stuff. If you do have an idea that you want to see in our channel, email us at philippineantics@gmail.com. Okay, and just type it in, comment it, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whether you agree with us or not. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Bye.